Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 193 North Vernonia Road here in St. Helens. We're located at the front of the home just to the left of the doorway. We have a 4-inch PVC cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently I have water running, as you can see, and I think I'm going to turn it off. The line will push forward here a little bit and see how this is doing. It's getting kind of overwhelmed by the water we're running. This doesn't back up into the house. We're going to shut that off for just a moment here. Alright, turn the water off here for a moment. The line is just not handling that kind of volume. And we now have standing water right here inside the, just inside the cleanout. Got a bunch of junk built up here. Immediately just looking at this concrete, it is very, very worn out. The flow line here, there is a ton of aggregate rock showing through. Large bits of rock, which indicates that the line is getting very near the end of its lifespan, if not there already. We'll try and figure out why all that junk's built up there. I have a feeling something's obviously going on, I think, with the pipe itself that's causing that debris to collect there, the way it looks. A little bit of junk here in the line. Alright, looks like we have a bunch of dirt sitting here inside the pipe. If you look in amongst all that there, I just saw, now my camera's not going to get back into position here where I want it to be. Right before I pushed through there, though, I could see that there were a couple pebbles in amongst all that stuff there. But yeah, and I kind of expect that at this point. The line is so worn out. I mean, the next step here is that the bottom of the pipe's just going to collapse and drop out on you. Which is likely what's happened towards the end here. That's what all that stuff is. It's likely dirt that's come in from the outside of the pipe. It's hard to say, not being able to see right into that underneath all of it, but it's a common thing when you have a concrete line that's worn out this much. Now here at 47 feet, we've reached the main. Trying to see if I can get this camera lens cleaned off here. There we go. I'm going to go locate just to verify where this is at exactly, but I'm going to start mapping it out for repair. It's to the point where it's done. It's like a roof. I kind of look at it similar to a roof that has like maybe a year left on it, if that. It's completely worn out and ready to be updated. So I'm going to map this thing out all the way back to the clean out here. I'm getting the depth out there about 4 feet 9 inches deep. We are right underneath a whole bunch of overhead power lines. So use some caution if you dig this. The power lines can throw off the locator to a certain extent. That spot right there, this might also be the reason why we have stuff collecting here. This looks like a combination of dirt and sewage and all kinds of stuff. But this joint right here my camera is up against, that thing is wide open. So that's probably part of the reason why stuff's building up there. It looks like a lot of the water escapes the line right at that particular spot. You can see how open that joint is. You can actually see water, the last little remnants of it starting to flow down into that. It's going right down into the joint there. So that joint is wide open, letting a lot of water come through it. And those are usually the first places that go when the line gets this worn, are the joints. They start to wear out and open up to the ground. We're at 4 feet deep. We're just passing underneath the hedgerow at the front of the property, or 4 feet deep exactly, right in the sidewalk area. They're about 3 feet deep here. Just came out of the other, on the house side of the hedges. This is one of those lines you might be able to do a pipeliner on. For the most part here, it looks like it is draining out. And we've got a significant amount of debris here up at the front. That makes it really difficult to tell what the pipe material looks like underneath this. Given how much aggregate rock is showing through and the fact that we have a separated joint that is letting water escape out of around 43 feet, this is not one of those lines I'd recommend spot repairing. You might be able to drain clean this thing. The hard part is that in the condition it's in, the ideal way to clean this would be to jet the line, and I fear that jetting this at this point would start blowing holes through the concrete. So I mean, if you were ever to do a spot repair, I would certainly spot repair it at 43 feet, which is just shy of the main lateral. That's going to be out in the street area. But given the condition, the rest of the concrete's in here, and this big old buildup, and I don't know what's causing this exactly here. It's really hard to say. This might just be because too much stuff went down the line, but the line was starting to back up on me when I had the water running down it. Anyway, something's causing that to collect there, it looks like. But given the condition that the line is in there, how worn the concrete is, I wouldn't recommend spot repairing it. You could certainly go that route and fix, that one joint that's separated and opening up. I think a lot of that stuff out there further is likely sewage and stuff that just can't really make it past that point because all the water flow cuts out at that particular spot. It's the age of the line. That's the reason why I would recommend updating the whole thing. You could spot repair it, but you're going to end up replacing the rest of this line in not too long. That's my reasoning there for recommending a replacement. As best I can tell, it looks like it will drain out if you actually got all the junk out of there. You could probably do a pipeliner, but it's a very shallow line. It's only about 1 foot 8 inches deep here, about halfway out through the front yard. By the time it hits the street, it's right at 4 feet. So I would look into the cost differences and pros and cons of each type of repair and kind of choose that way. At the very least, it needs a spot repair at 43 feet to correct that separated joint. And then back here at the beginning of the line, it needs a significant amount of drain cleaning to remove all this debris buildup here. Until that's done, though, we can't really see the condition of the line back towards the front. All I can tell is we've got a lot of aggregate showing through, and the line is right near the end of its lifespan. Anyway, I've got everything mapped out with white paint from the clean out all the way out to the main. Would recommend a full update to the sewer line, at least on the exterior here. About 1 foot 6 inches deep right here, just in front of the clean out. Okay, we're now going back into the home here, into the original cast iron. With everything being original and the fact that we have this new clean out here, my guess is that this line has had some problems in the past and has required drain cleaning. That's often what I see when you have older lines like this. You know, if it had newer pipe going back into the house or something like that, like it was part of an update, I'd probably think a little bit differently about it. My assumption here is that this line has needed drain cleaning in the past, and that's why there's a new clean out here in between old pipe. And that right there is as far as we can go back into the house. Part of it has been updated to ABS, the other portion's cast iron, and those are all looking good. Draining out properly and are in good condition. Anyway, I recommend a full update on the exterior portion of the line out here. And I highly recommend a rescope after the repair is done to make sure it was done correctly. And I would also contact the city and find out. It's possible the city may maintain the street portion of the line. Usually if the city does maintain a portion of it, it usually starts at about the sidewalk area, if not the curb. So I would look into that and find out if they do or not. If the separated joint is that of the city's responsibility, it may not even be on the homeowner to do that. In which case you could try and go the jetting route and clean the line out and see what the rest of it looks like here, especially this first 3 or 4 feet where there's all the debris buildup. But just the reason I'm recommending a full replacement, the whole line isn't at the point where just water's escaping everywhere. It's the combination of a lot of aggregate rock showing through. We have a wide open joint. It's pretty much, I think, letting most of the water escape the line out there. Now, given the age and everything, it's just something I wouldn't recommend spot repairing. It's at that point where you're gonna, not too distant future, you're probably gonna be looking at updating it anyhow. So that's why I would recommend the full update at this point.